Okay, we're back week 2, Streamside fly tying class. We're doing the Rocktober Caddis, which originally designed for, I believe, skating and sea run trout over on the West Coast. I use it more of a grasshopper pattern here, small. This is a size 10. Good foam body, floats high. Also is a pretty good stonefly imitation depending on what color you do. I'm gonna do green just for a little hopper. And when I start my thread on this, I want to give myself kind of a reminder that I want my body to stop right at about this 1/3 point. So I'm going to start my thread there so I have a visual reference of, okay, don't wrap it any farther. We'll get that thread on there, cut our waist piece, go all the way back to the bend. And we'll go back to right where the bend starts. I'm going to go forward a little bit to grab my foam. Now I've cut this at an angle just for a little easier tie-in. And I'm going to grab that, pinch that in, and tie that back to the beginning of that bend. Right about there. Now you'll notice I'm pulling on it too, just to give it a little more squish when I tie it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to cover it again with this foam. So I'll come up to right where I want to stop, right where I want my wing to be put on and everything else. So at this point we can then do our first wrap, which you got to mess with this point here, but it's not too bad. And as you pull, you're going to pull on this foam and you're going to do just slightly overwrapping turns. You'll see I'm just barely overwrapping itself. And then as you move up, I tend to lessen the amount of tension on the foam just so it gets a little bit of a taper. And I'm going to grab that with my thread, make sure it's where I want it. Do a couple nice tight wraps over the top, lock them in up front. Now I can cover this front piece with thread. I'm going to come in with my scissors, cut that foam. The other reason you want to lessen the tension when you're pulling on the foam is if you pull too hard and it's wanting to unravel and you cut it real close, it may slide out from your threads wraps and you'll have to do it all over again. But hopefully that doesn't happen. So we've got our nice foam body. It's going to float well. We're now going to take some elk hair, just a little clump. It's hard to say how much you need. I tend to grab more than I need because I can always take it out. We're going to cut that off the hide. And I don't know how to tell you how much that is, but it's less than a pencil. And all this fluffy stuff in here we don't want. So I'm going to grab it by the tips. I'm going to start pulling all that fluffy stuff out. We'll get rid of all that because it's going to keep it from stacking well. And I've got a little red hair in here. So once I get all the under fur fluff out, I'm going to take it, put it in our stacker, align those tips. We'll put it tip first, so you see the butt ends are sticking out the top of this, and we'll stack those by tapping it against your table, your hand, kind of like that. And what that does is it aligns all of those tips up. So now the key here, to handle this as little as possible, we want to take this out of the stacker with the tips facing the back of the hook so we can just grab it. I'm going to grab it here by the tips, pull it out of the stacker. And the less you handle this, the better it's going to look, because it doesn't move around as much. So once I get this kind of where I want it, I want that wing just past that foam body, basically to the end of the hook. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, again, this is kind of a, you figure it out the more you tie. I had a little bit too much there. So I'm going to measure that again, pinch it nice and tight against my hook, and I'm going to do 2 loose wraps. You can see nothing's really happening yet, and then I'm going to pull down. Once I get those 2 on there, get it nice and secure. A couple more, pull down. Then I can remove my hand, make sure I like the length of it. And then I'm going to advance my thread forward. And I'm going to corral these. Notice I haven't let go with my left hand yet while I'm under pressure, because I don't want it to roll on me. So as I move forward, these butt ends are going to flare out, and you're going to have to kind of control them. Every time you pull on it, it's going to flare. So then you're going to come in, because we want a nice little pad here for where we're going to add our legs and our hackle. So I'm going to move up just a little bit more, just before the eye of the hook. I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of room, because these butt ends, when we cut them off, are going to become the head of our fly. So I'm going to give it a nice good pull, then I'm going to work my way back. Again, just cinching everything down. I'm going to tie back to where our body ends, like so. Then I'm going to corral these butt ends, make sure they're right on top. You can wait to cut this, you can cut it now. I'm going to cut it now just to get all this extra fluff out of the way. And I like to cut at an angle here. And I'm going to cut straight down, and that's our head, similar to an elk-hair caddis. Again, it is technically a caddis fly, so it should kind of look like that. But now that we have our wing, we can tie in our legs, and we're just using brown rubber. You can use really whatever color rubber you want. I think brown looks good. You can also bar these legs with a Sharpie. If you want to, you could do white, you could do all sorts of different colors. So I got this close side. Now again, I flattened it all out because we're going to put hackle in that kind of pad right there. So that was the close side. Now I'm going to do the far side. And the nice thing is you can capture this right on top, and then just grab each leg and pull it off to the side. And you'll want to pinch down and, you know, move this leg around. It's going to want to roll on you. So once you get it tied in, you can manipulate these and put them where you want them. So there's our legs. Last bit here is our hackle. I'm using a grizzly. Again, you can use a badger, you can use a dyed grizzly, you can use really whatever you want. This is a saddle, so it's a nice long feather. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to preen these fibers off the very base of this. I'm just going to pinch them off. And I want to do that so I don't trap any when I tie it in, and I don't have any really wonky ones when I tie it, but also it just helps the feather orient itself correctly. Now it's up at an angle. Again, that's just going to help me make this look nice as I wrap it. So I get a good couple turns on that, and I'm going to leave my thread at the front of that pad. And I'm going to take this hackle and I'm going to wrap it in essentially touching turns forwards across this pad. And this will give our fly some extra flotation, even though it's got, you know, a bunch of foam on it. So that was what, 4 or 5 turns, not a lot of hackle. And I'm going to wrap over that, capture it right up against the back of our head. Get 2 turns over the top, 2 in front. And now, before I even cut this, I want to whip finish. That's just something I like to do. If you tie with hackle enough, you will cut it and it will come out. So again, I'm going to whip finish right behind our head, right where we tied off our hackle. Pull that out. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now I can come in with my scissors, cut my thread. And then I'm going to come in and cut my hackle off. Like so. Now the legs are kind of, it's up to you how you want to cut them. I want these front ones shorter, and you can cut them both at the same time if you want to. Otherwise they get wonky like that. And then these back ones I'm going to cut at about the length of the body. So what I like to do is I'll fold them back, come in there with my scissors, and cut both at the same time. And then we're done. You can add some head cement. You can also make this ride a little lower if you want to cut the bottom hackles off, like so. I like these to sit pretty low. Cut those bottom hackles. It's going to sit nice and low, still give the effect of legs, but there we go. The Rocktober Caddis, this one in green. Again, yellow, green, purple. I do these in black. You know, sky's the limit. Whatever color foam you can get, you can make this. So enjoy.